Charlie's not messaging people the day before saying, I'm gonna be murdered, they're coming after me.
It's real, able to say this. That's the narrative. It was written. This is the perfect screenplay for them.
Charlie Kirk's mom is finally speaking out after Erika got called out for twisting the timeline about Charlie's final night. What started as quiet whispers has now blown up into loud contradictions that people online can't ignore anymore. The version Erika first shared is now being questioned from every direction. She had already faced backlash for saying Charlie was deeply worried about his safety, and now critics claim she's trying to reshape the story and present herself as the steady protector in the room. That sudden shift has a lot of people side-eyeing the whole situation, and here's where it gets even more complicated. New information just surfaced about a private dinner Erika organized on Charlie's last evening. During that gathering, there was reportedly a Zoom call with a rabbi in Israel who allegedly encouraged Charlie to rethink certain public stances he had expressed.
I'm just going to jump in here and tell you that's a lie. What we know happens thereafter is Charlie concludes this call with Josh and the rabbi, and then he sends off text messages to his security chief, Dan Flood, also to Andrew Colvett, and he says to them that they are going to kill.
Now supporters and critics alike are asking what was really unfolding behind closed doors. That night, that detail alone has people raising their eyebrows and asking real questions. The optics feel off, the timing feels even stranger, and now many are wondering if that night was more calculated than caring. Was it strategy instead of sentiment? That's what critics are debating heavy right now. So let's break down these new receipts and, more importantly, how Charlie's mom reacted when she heard what was being said behind the scenes. It's been 5 months since Charlie Kirk's tragic passing, and somehow the media spotlight hasn't shifted at all. The attention stayed locked in place. Erika has done back-to-back interviews, attended formal events, and appeared in carefully framed photo moments. She hasn't stepped away from public view since that day. Every headline seems to highlight her voice.
People know that Charlie sensed that he was going to die tomorrow is an absolute fact. Why these individuals are all being quiet about that is a massive question mark.
Her feelings, her version of what happened. But people keep asking one big question. Where are Charlie's parents in all of this? They've been almost invisible in major coverage, and Erika hasn't publicly acknowledged them. Instead, she suggested that her own mother played a major maternal role in Charlie's life, and that comment definitely stirred conversation. Now, an insider close to Charlie's mother, Catherine Kirk, says his parents are doing what most grieving families would do, mourning in private and staying far away from the noise. They're not chasing cameras, not jumping into interviews, just trying to process everything quietly. But here's where it starts to feel uncomfortable. According to that same insider, what's really disturbing her piece isn't just the non-stop media coverage.
We always knew that there were people out there that hated us with deep, deep passion of hate. But it didn't scare us. Never, he was never afraid of that. Neither was I. Obviously, we protect our children. You know, we don't show their faces on the internet. If that was our last day, it was our last day. Like, we always lived as if it was the last day. That's why Charlie's speeches were so good. But again, it wasn't anything that, you would think any different.
Acute.
No.
It's Erika's changing version of Charlie's final days, and we're not talking about tiny mix-ups. These are major shifts in the story that people are catching in real time. Charlie's mom reportedly believes her son was deeply shaken toward the end, not just stressed, not just overwhelmed with work, but truly unsettled on a deeper level. And here's the part that has everyone leaning in. The insider claims Charlie had allegedly begun questioning Erika herself. That's a serious statement. On top of that, the source says Catherine Kirk is even considering sitting down with Candace Owens for an interview to finally clear the air and explain how her son was really feeling during those last days. Because let's be honest for a second, why does the story keep shifting? Why are there now debates about whether Charlie was facing serious threats or increasing his security before September 10th? Every time Erika speaks, critics claim a new layer gets added or adjusted. People say it feels like trying to solve a puzzle where the image keeps changing right in front of you.
Erika and Charlie Kirk heard about these curses, and that news genuinely rattled Erika in particular. She knew Christian teaching on the subject. She loved Charlie, absolutely. And she was scared when she heard of the curses Jezebel had called up. So much so that she and Charlie contacted a friend, who I believe she said was a Catholic priest, but definitely a friend, and asked him to come over and pray with them over Charlie. the night before he was murdered. She eventually worked it through, and so did Charlie. That, as she later told me, weapons will form but not prosper. That Satan and those witches have no power.
And nowhere is that more obvious than when you line up the different versions of Charlie's final night. Multiple accounts of that evening have circulated, and every single one traces back to Erika herself. The first public version came during her September 21st in-person interview with the New York Times. According to the article, on the evening before Mr. Kirk traveled to Utah, he and his wife had dinner in the Phoenix area with a friend described as a faith leader. The purpose, as reported, was to pray over his upcoming tour of roughly 20 college campuses. The piece states that both Mrs. Kirk and the friend were concerned during dinner, and that Mrs. Kirk expressed unease about what was ahead. According to that report, Mrs. Kirk urged her husband to start wearing a bulletproof vest. That was the official version at the time. But now people are lining up the timeline and asking.
So Charlie writes in this group chat, just lost another huge Jewish donor, $2 million a year because we won't cancel Tucker. I'm thinking of inviting Candace. Somebody writes, ugh. Charlie writes, Jewish donors play into all of the stereotypes. I cannot and will not be bullied like this, leaving me no choice but to leave, be pro-Israel. Pause. Okay, first and foremost, I just want to say he's so full of crap. The idea that Charlie had just gotten back from Korea and was like, oh, please help me, Josh Hammer. You're a complete idiot. Please help me learn how to speak to college students. Josh Hammer and a rabbi who lives in Israel. Like, there was nobody else available. You know what time it must have been in Israel for him to organize this call? Why is he doing it with this rabbi? Was it Wojcicki, whatever his last name is? You're not going to just call like Dennis Prager, who you're apparently writing a Shabbat Shalom book with? It seems a little suspect. So you're actually clarifying for us something that's amazing. This is a stunning admission, okay? Because we know that when Charlie got off of this phone call, he texts that evening a text message to Dan Flood and Andrew Colbert.
Asking some serious questions. The article went on to say that when Charlie hesitated about adding extra protection, the faith leader suggested he consider speaking behind protective glass instead. That detail alone painted a tense picture. That was version 1. Erika's original claim was that she and this faith leader, who Megyn Kelly later identified as a Catholic priest, were so concerned about Charlie's safety that they pushed him to take strong security precautions in case someone attempted to harm him. That's a dramatic situation to describe, no doubt. Then fast forward to September 23rd, and Megyn Kelly added another layer. She said Erika was allegedly shaken because of a Jezebel article that referenced a so-called curse involving Charlie. That's when people really started questioning things. Are we supposed to believe that an online article suddenly caused that level of alarm and urgency? The timeline just keeps getting more complicated. That explanation feels weak to a lot of people. According to Candace, Charlie had controversial articles written about him all the time, and he never treated opinion pieces like real-world danger. So why would this one online story suddenly flip everything into high alert mode? That part just doesn't add up. Critics are saying the reaction described doesn't.
Candace Owens seized on this totally out of context screenshot of Charlie Kirk being very upset that a Jewish donor was withholding his $2 million donation. And she used this as an attempt to say, oh, Josh Hammer's lying, that Charlie Kirk remained pro-Israel until his final moments. Yeah. But she's also holding aside that 2 hours after this screenshot, if you look at the timestamps, 2 hours after that, I and a few others were in a small Zoom chat, a small Zoom call with Charlie Kirk the night before he was killed that Charlie organized. Charlie organized this Zoom call for the express purpose of trying to make sure that he had all the best answers, the best messaging advice for how to speak about Jewish-Christian relations and the Israel question on college campuses.
Match how Charlie usually handled media noise. And here's where it gets even more confusing. During Erika's live interview with Megyn Kelly on November 22nd, the tone reportedly shifted in a big way. This time, she said neither she nor Charlie were afraid at all. In this version, September 9th was described as just a normal night before one of his speaking events. Nothing intense, nothing urgent, just routine. That's a major change from the earlier narrative. So which version are people supposed to follow? Were they urgently talking about protective vests and security glass? Or was it simply another calm evening before a tour stop? That back and forth is exactly why the timeline keeps getting questioned. And here's the issue, critics point out. In her earlier New York Times interview, Erika reportedly said she was so concerned on September 9th that she urged Charlie to wear a bulletproof vest. That contrast is what keeps this debate alive. That's not some tiny side note. That's serious, and she didn't stop there. Erika also said he felt like something wasn't right before the UVU event. In her own words, his adrenal glands were just going off, and he got up and I could hear him eating something in the kitchen. That quote creates a completely different image. It suggests he was restless, tense, maybe even dealing with heavy nerves that night. That doesn't sound calm at all. So which version are people supposed to accept? Was he unsettled and unable to relax, or was it just another smooth, normal evening before a speaking event? Those two pictures don't match, and this is where critics say the narrative starts cracking again. The details feel like they're pulling in opposite directions. Now reports suggest something else may have taken place on September 9th that hasn't been fully explained. And according to Candace, it didn't just involve a Catholic priest. There was also mention of a rabbi based in Israel. And that detail shifts the context completely. Candace shared that on September 8th, Charlie allegedly sent a message saying he was stepping back from involvement in the Israel cause. That's a significant development, especially considering the political and donor environment surrounding Turning Point. If that's true, it's not some tiny tweak. That's a move with real weight behind it. After Candace brought it up publicly, Turning Point-affiliated podcaster Josh Hammer stepped in and clarified that the message was actually sent on September 9th, not the 8th. He said it came after that exchange, and that Charlie reportedly joined a Zoom call to go over certain talking points and receive guidance. That small date switch has people looking at the timeline a whole new way. Now critics are lining everything up and asking bigger questions. What exactly was said on that call? Who was present? And why weren't these details fully addressed in earlier interviews? When you stack every version side by side, the timeline doesn't look clean anymore. It feels like a maze with missing pieces. And here's where it takes another sharp turn. Candace revealed that the Zoom call allegedly included a rabbi who doesn't live in the United States. According to what she shared, the discussion reportedly wasn't calm or casual. It allegedly became intense, with serious pressure being applied. There were even claims that incentives may have been discussed in an effort to influence Charlie's position. That detail alone has people talking loudly. That's not a minor detail. That's explosive. And then comes the message that reportedly left people stunned. Right after that Zoom call, Charlie allegedly texted Dan Flood and Andrew Covey saying, "They're going to kill me." That direct quote is what has everyone frozen. If that message is accurate, it shifts the focus away from random online articles or talk of so-called curses. It suggests that any fear he may have felt was tied to something far more immediate and personal. So here's the big question. Why hasn't Erika broken down that Zoom call in full detail? Why hasn't there been a clear explanation about those reported texts expressing serious concern for his safety? Instead, the public keeps hearing shifting versions, partial answers, and contradictions that only add more confusion. That's why so many people are demanding clarity right now, and now things may be changing. Charlie's parents are no longer completely silent in the background. There are strong rumors that Candace could bring Charlie's mother onto her podcast to finally share her side. If that happens, it could reshape the entire conversation, because at the end of the day, people want transparency, not competing timelines. If you've been following this from day one, drop your thoughts in the comments. Do you think more details are about to come out? Make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, share it with someone who needs to see it, and I'll see you in the next one.